Now, when you're making iguana food, you want to make sure to take the hard vegetables like butternut squash and things like that and cut them down into strips. But before you cut them into strips, you want to cut them into slices so that you can put them in a microwave and cook them for a couple minutes to kind of soften them. You want to do that by adding water and getting them nice and wet, and then pop them in the microwave for about 2 to 3 minutes. This may take longer, we'll see. Now for greens, we've got kale, we've got mustard greens, we've got turnip greens, we've got collard greens, and we've got beet greens. You want to be careful with your greens, not use kale too much, no spinach or lettuce. And another tip is that a lot of greens have pesticides, all kinds of dirt and debris, maybe even bugs on them. So it might be a good idea to wash them off, as I'm doing now. And I use a little vegetable spray that cleans the greens really nicely. Now you want to get the soap down in all the little crevices and little places and make sure that they are nice and clean. You want to make sure and get both sides of the green nice and clean. And just kind of think of it, would you want to eat it if it was dirty? If not, then why should your iguana eat it? And with a lot of problems with pesticides, iguanas can really benefit by having clean greens to eat. Now, when you're done, just wash them off like I'm doing now, and make sure to get all the soap off of them. That's the main thing. You don't want to leave any kind of soap or cleaner on your greens. You want them nice and fresh, wet and moist, and very good. Now, when you go to cutting the vegetables, you want to cut them into strips or chunks or little pieces, and they've got to be smaller than the space between the two eyes on the iguana's head. So just look at the top of the head and make sure that what you cut is thinner than that space. Now you want to use a lot of greens and a lot of vegetables, many different types, and the more variety the better because it makes them healthier. Now you want to cut them up. Some of the big adult iguanas can eat something like this green bean here as a whole piece, but it does help them digest better when they're cut up. And since I'm feeding 3 different size iguanas, I want to cut them up to meet their different sizes and needs. Now you cut them up and you just divide them up, giving a little bit more to the ones you know who likes that particular vegetable, green, or fruit, because you want them to get full. Now you go back and check your cooking and make sure, see if the squashes are soft. Not yet. Put them back in for another minute or two. Now when you're doing fruit, you want to go ahead and give them some really bright colors to get their appetite going, but you don't want to use too much fruit because it has a lot of phosphorus in it, and that can lock up the calcium in their bloodstream before they can use it. And also you don't want to use a lot of fruits if you can help it. You want to do about 60% greens, about 30% vegetables, and about 10% fruit. Now we go back here and check and see, and yes, they're done cooking now. And you just want to kind of stick your fingernail into them to make sure they're soft, because iguanas have very sharp teeth, but they're very small. And if you give them something really hard to chew on, like this type of squash here, it can actually cause their gums to bleed. And if they're not kept really clean, that could lead to mouth rot or other types of problems. And you can see I've cut them up into small little pieces. And this will go for Gizmo because she's the smallest iguana I have right now. At about 4 feet long, she can't eat things that are as big as the boys can right now. But you want to take the skin off of the side of the vegetables and just put it aside there to throw away. And so you can cut these in long strips. The bigger strips can be for the bigger boys, and the little tiny ones like this are for Gizmo. And we'll give her some here. She loves these. They really go for a lot of color. Iguanas are very visual animals. And as you can see when you're done, I think it looks good enough to eat yourself, and that's what you want them to see. You want them to see the varieties and the colors. And you got about at least a dinner plate's worth of food there. Now, a growing iguana at about 2 years old or so can eat up to 2 dinner plates like this a day. So even though I'm making these, I could end up making 3 more plates just like this for them before the day is up. Now if you get it right, and here's Gizmo here to test it out, you can see she loves it. And she goes for her favorite stuff every time right off the bat. And notice the space on top of her head between her eyes. Everything is smaller than that space there. And so she can chew on them and eat them and swallow them down.
Now this is a little harder to feed when you've got an aggressive male like Woodstock. This is how I'm greeted every morning. You gonna let me put your food in there? Huh, Woody? Oh, come on now. Let me put your food in, baby. You have to be ready to move really fast. Yeah. Back off. Back off, Woody. Now. Watch the foot. None of that. You have to trick them, get past them, put the food in the cage, and then get out of there before he can get you. Hey, Woody. I see you. And now you quickly put the food in the cage. Right there. And here it comes again. Okay, back off. Back off. Usually a towel helps. You can get them to stay away with a towel. Alright, Woody. Put your towel back in place here. There's your food. A little trick I've learned is you get behind the door through the plexiglass and you get them to come to you. Hey, Wood. There you go. Get in your cage, boy. Get in your cage, Woody. Come on, babe. Get in your cage. Go get your food, big boy. Come on. Go get your food. Sometimes you nudge him with the door and he'll go in, and sometimes he won't. And sometimes you have to help him a little bit by walking up to him and showing him your hand above him. And you see he's turned sideways at me. But, okay. Sometimes you can get them to turn around. You can grab them. He's very fast. Okay. Get in cage. Get in the cage. And you're done. Whew. Okay. And that's how we feed Woody sometimes. Fun, ain't it?